Let's go ahead and get this show on the road, party people. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. Before we get started, of course, I want to ask you all to make sure that you're subscribed. I know a lot of people have been having notification issues, and as you can see in the chats, we've been discussing it. People have suggested unsubscribing and then resubscribing and then making sure you hit that notification bell. Or if you don't want to deal with any of that, go to rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com, where we will not be suppressed. And not to pat myself on the back, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know, we are the most watched political show on Rockfin so far. So, you know, you go to Rockfin, you'll see us, and you'll catch all of our posts. Especially when we start reposting our premium exclusive Rockfin content starting next week. All right. And if you want, you can either help to support the show by joining us on Patreon, or which the link is in the description below, or you can endorse us on Rockfin and get everybody's premium content. That means my premium content, the Convo Couch premium content, Ron Pacone, Graham Elwood, Kim Iverson, Richie Medhurst from Poppy Chuloman, Jimmy Dore. You get all of our premium content if you go endorse us for just $9.99. That's all it takes, $9.99. You get everybody's premium content, which is super exciting. All right. And by the way, the link to my Rockfin page is in the description below, but it's ROKFIN.com/Niko. Make sure you go follow us there. With that being said, I want to go ahead and get started with today's show. It's been an interesting couple of weeks in this fight for criminal justice reform, this fight for police reform, and unfortunately, where we've seen some improvements, right, where we've seen some cities take these reforms very seriously, we have seen the federal government drop the ball again and again and again and again. And unfortunately, when we're talking about the police state, when we're talking about propping up corrupt institutions, the Supreme Court has unfortunately generally been at the forefront of ensuring that these institutions are not held accountable. I mean, I don't understand what the hell is the point of having checks and balances when one of the checks is never checking anybody, is seemingly what we're getting from the Supreme Court once again. Why do I say that? Because the Supreme Court, this was reported this morning, the Supreme Court will not consider limiting police immunity from civil lawsuits. What is police immunity? Well, police immunity and political immunity is generally granted to police officers who have or potentially could be victims of a lawsuit or prosecution. Same thing goes for a political elite. It said, the article is from USA Today, and then it says that the Supreme Court refused Monday to consider the legal immunity from lawsuits generally given to police and other public figures accused of misconduct. The justice's decision not to hear a case on qualified immunity in their next term, which begins in October, follows the death last month of George Floyd, an African-American man in Minneapolis, while in police custody. His killing led to days of unrest. Is still days of unrest, as well as peaceful protests across the United States and a renewed national debate about racism and police brutality. The Supreme Court has in recent decades set a high bar for pursuing lawsuits over official misconduct. I would know, considering that I was literally jumped in a Burger King by 6 police officers. They lied about why they arrested me, because of course I was there to, eat burgers. They said, no, you weren't, you were trespassing. That's why you have a whole receipt. Then they actually held me hostage in the hospital so they could fake an arrest affidavit. Then they did something with my medical records so that it would be almost impossible for me to find that they dislocated my rotator cuff and I had to get treated for that. And nobody will take the case because they're terrified of Miami PD and they don't think they can win. So trust me, it's a high bar for official misconduct to result in a lawsuit. Officers' behavior must violate, quote unquote, clearly established laws or constitutional rights, and courts have found it seldom does, because almost every specific allegation is different. In other words, a lot of times courts base or judges, excuse me, and even jury base their decision, their verdict on precedents set in past cases. Well, if everybody's having a different case, and then of course because of that, maybe the defense is trying to use precedents, but there can never really be any established because all of them keep getting thrown out because there is no real precedence of prosecution over a lot of what we have seen, especially when we're talking about like the George Floyd situation, right? And so because of that, that leads to no one getting prosecuted. Immunity. Because everybody should feel safer knowing that the people who are supposed to keep you safe can kill you and basically have zero repercussions. Congratulations. You live in a police state. Now, what's even more interesting about this is the fact that the Supreme Court is they didn't just kill the idea, people. They didn't just kill the idea. They're refusing to even hear the case. They're not even going to listen to it. They're not even going to consider. We just saw a man murdered by a police officer after putting his knee having the police officer's knee put in his neck for over 8 minutes. And the cop wasn't even initially arrested. It took hell from the public for the cop to even be arrested. We just saw Hillary Clinton, literally commit multiple felonies on top of multiple felonies. And James Comey told us, well, yeah, I mean, she was guilty of this. Yeah, she shouldn't have had that server in there. Yeah, that server was probably hacked by some foreign adversary. I mean, yeah, she's basically guilty of everything. But hey, listen, y'all, for a second, she didn't mean to. She didn't mean to break the law. And therefore, we can't even indict her. Yes, not she was acquitted. No, we can't even indict her because she didn't mean to. So clearly political elites get off time and time again. And it is largely because of this law. And it's like I said, it's super weird that they won't even hear this. Because according to the USA Today, some justices, lower court judges, and scholars on both the left and the right have questioned the legal doctrine for creating a nearly impossible standard for victims to meet and a nearly blanket immunity for those accused of misconduct. Associate Justice Clarence Thomas dissented from the decision not to hear a new case on qualified immunity, one involving a burglar who surrendered and then was bitten by a police dog. I have previously expressed my doubts about our qualified immunity jurisprudence, he wrote, because our qualified immunity doctrine appears to stray away from the statutory text. I would grant this petition. So Clarence Thomas, a conservative, supports the idea of addressing these issues, or at least, yeah, like I said, at least addressing it, at least hearing the case. But the deep state going deep state, right? Just like when it comes to most issues, unfortunately, when it's time to address corrupt institutions overall, when it is time to address accountability that could set precedents, which would trickle down, or trickle up, I should say, and affect everyone in power, all of a sudden, we don't even want to hear the case. Come on, bro. You don't even want to hear it. Otis, thank you very much for the super chat. Sending a salute from Illinois. My man. Appreciate you. I don't know. I mean, the good news is this can still be challenged around the country. If enough federal justices, like at the state level, Supreme Court justices at the state level, or federal judges at the state level, if enough of them decide this police immunity thing has got to go, then the Supreme Court is eventually forced to readdress and reassess their decision to not hear the case. We saw this happen. I mean, literally that's always been the case, but most recently we can think of what happened around 2013, 2014 time frame, whenever marriage equality was legalized, right? For the longest, it wouldn't even be really entertained. But then North Carolina agreed to, I think Vermont had already legalized it, and you saw courts around the country backing up North Carolina's decision. So when enough courts from enough jurisdictions fight and say this, we have precedents, or they establish precedents. When enough people and enough courts establish precedents, the Supreme Court can no longer ignore it. So what the call to action must be at this point is to continue to fight. If you're an attorney, continue to challenge. If you're a nonprofit that has attorneys at your disposal who fight on behalf of criminal justice, you have to get your attorneys in the ring at the local level, at the state level, and then eventually, because it will be appealed. Oh, you better believe it's going to be appealed. You're going to have to just keep chipping away at the corrupt system. It's like I said, it sucks. It's a blow to the cause. It sucks because we've been seeing so many positive reforms coming about all over the country, mostly at the state and local levels, right? I don't expect the federal government to do much for me at this point. However, that does not mean, one blow to the movement does not mean that we should end it. If anything, what it shows is that, okay, y'all haven't been listening to the protests, so maybe we should protest some more. So if you're out there protesting right now, shout out to you. Keep it up, because clearly some people in the government ain't quite hearing you loud enough. So Marcus Will, thank you very much for the super chat. You can bet your left hand as more and more attention will be drawn to Israeli training of city police, more revelations of Floyd's past will come to light. I 100% agree. That's how it goes, right? I'm pretty sure Chauvin was kind of surprised, and the people that were supporting him were kind of surprised, because usually when a cop kills a black man, the black man's history comes out first. But in this particular case, Chauvin's history was put out first. So it was kind of caught off guard. They were like, oh man, let's just throw some stuff together out there. And I don't even know how much of it I can take seriously. I don't know how much. Like I said, if you would have looked at my charges for whenever I was brutalized by police officers, it would look like I was a crazy trespasser trying to steal from Burger King. And that was not the case. They'll write, man, listen, when cops want you to go to jail, when they don't like you, that police report will reflect whatever it needs to for them to hold you in custody. Believe that. So I don't even know if I would trust it. I'm not saying that. I don't know George Floyd personally. But like I said, it's always a convenient. I've seen just so many false police reports, so many false charges to justify a wrongful arrest, to justify the fact that the charge of resisting the arrest was put there, to justify the beatings and the bruises that police officers cause. So, Sparky, thank you very much for the super chat. Cops aren't cool like 007, but have a license to kill. That's basically what the Supreme Court is trying to say, unfortunately. If you like that segment of Mikasa and Sukasa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockman Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else, always remember,
find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.
peace.